Yes, it is I, Mr. Texas. And actually, for the stream, this is the first thing I'll talk about that I did for my Texas trip is, well, this is the last thing I got, was this whiskey from Texas. And of course, we have to drink it from a mason jar. Little. A big stuff. Indeed. There was one thing I wish I kind of did get, though. Oh, even though it would have just been for this stream, was a Texas flag. But I, I don't know, I did drive by, like, 5 Buc-ee's and too many Walmarts to count. They probably had a Texas flag in there I could have bought. American flag is pretty close to Texan one. It literally, the Texan flag is the diet one. Gonna give it like 3 minutes. No, actually, we'll start whenever I get this sucker open and pour me some. Let me say, this was not cheap. This is not something I'm gonna be mixing with stuff, because I love mixing drinks. And if I was going to mix it with something, actually, let me see if I can get that. One of these. Actually, I might mix it with the 1919 root beer is nice enough where I would mix it with it. But we're gonna just enjoy this on its own. It has a nice little cloth thing on the label, so. Ooh. That smells strong. I might actually go get like an ice cube or two. That's like a good amount, right? It's not too much. I'm gonna go get an ice cube real quick. Alright. There we go. First initial sip. Wow, you really taste like the wooden flavor from the barrel on that. That's fucking good. Ooh. Very strong. Very nice. It has like a strong kick, but I'm gonna be messing with. I touch my hair way too much for my own good. Anyways, let's start this. Starting with the first picture I took this was in Iowa, because the path I took to go from my place was just like Iowa. Well, obviously starting in Minnesota, Iowa, and a little bit of Missouri, and a little bit of Kansas, straight through Oklahoma, and then through Texas. So, this was in Iowa, the John Wayne birthplace. It was closed that day, which I'm very saddened about. Oh, but I think this visual right here is a very cool one. And in the same place was their Capitol building, in which I thought, yeah, no, the snow on the hat this is just an awesome visual. I really wish I could have gone inside. That's the one thing I didn't get to do. And I didn't get a picture of this, but on the on the left-hand side of the building from here is a rock. It was called Freedom Rock, and it had like a bunch of images of John Wayne from his like various movies and stuff, and it was like very nicely painted, etc., etc. However, I found it very ironic where there was a sign that says, "Please do not climb or touch the Freedom Rock." And I don't know why that just reeks of irony to me, but it does. Just, no, don't touch the Freedom Rock. I couldn't touch the Freedom Rock. I'm sorry. You can't touch it. But here was the Capitol building of that town. I don't know, obviously with John Wayne Drive right there. And I think this town hall is just a very cool looking place. It was a cool little town. It was one of those riverside town looking places with like the brick build the street of brick buildings. I was very happy I got this picture. Okay, so I drove all the way down, etc. etc. And the first place I actually stopped at was this aquarium in Austin because people were on Discord were talking about it one time. And they said it was a cool place. I'm pretty sure it was the Austin Aquarium they were talking about. But it had a little bit more or than just like fish and stuff because it had like reptiles and stuff. It also had a capybara in it. I didn't get a picture of the capybara, but yeah, it had like a bunch of monkeys as well. It had monkeys, it had a capybara, it had a bunch of birds. Or it had a macaw. And the macaw's name was Big Tex. Yeah, here's a moray eel that was just pogging out, so I decided like I need that. And I was just like, wow, this is a stupid looking fish. I like him. Some axolotls. I like these little guys. They were cool. Octopus. They had an octopus there. So another little guy. Oop, too fast. So this was a parrotfish right here. And he and the fish know because at this aquarium you can feed the fish. And this guy knew that if he swam up to the surface, he could be the first to get fish, and he was like doing like little tricks to try to get some of the food as well. But I come up to the surface and like try to jump a little to try to get the see if I was giving food. Obviously, I didn't actually have any food on me because I wasn't gonna pay for more stuff. This was just a quick stop, but he was a goofy little fella. They had some lemurs there. Zabumafu. They had otters. These little guys were sleeping. This was all like inside. These were this entire place was inside as well, but it was like very nice in there. Like you can tell these animals were taken care of. And then right at the front entrance, they had this cage full of chickens. Excuse me. And they were like the very fluffy looking chickens as well. And actually, in this Austin Aquarium place, if you paid a little bit extra, you could actually like stand in the cages with either the birds, the monkeys, these or the chickens, etc., etc. I didn't get to pet a chicken or anything really. I just kind of was there just to observe. But the aquarium was actually really good. The only problem was there was just a lot of it was definitely more catered towards kids. So there was just a bunch of children around, and then here I come in all by myself, this 23 oh no, not 23 yet, 22-year-old guy just walking around looking at fish with nobody else accompanying him. So if I say if you go to this Austin Aquarium, go with people so it's not as awkward and it probably make it a cooler experience. But yeah, they had a lot there and it was super cool. They had a shark tank as well. But yeah, that was our first stop. Then I continued driving to to San Antonio because I completely forgot to tell this, but the main point of my trip was to go see. I know it was on here. Let's see here. The Alamo. That was the whole main point of my trip was to go see the Alamo. Oh no! Some of these pictures are going to be very blurry, but I'll stop right here because as I drove basically to San Antonio, and then I had to stop somewhere to sleep because it was about 9 p.m. and I was super sleepy. And the only place that had room was this one hotel, close by, and they and their normal rates for a night was like 100. Like on Google, it said $120 for a night, and I'm like, okay, that's not the best. No, it gets worse, Trevor. It's not the best, but it's like I am super tired. It's the only place that had some place I could sleep, etc., etc. So I go and like, do you have any rooms? Yes, and they told me, yeah, it's not $120. No, it was $185 for a night because that was their spring break rates. And I'm like, what? Like, so you just have special rates for spring break? I'm like, fuck it. I physically could not drive anymore. So I had to just book that room and just say fuck it because I was too tired to drive anymore safely. But at least it was a nice hotel room. Very quiet, very comfy bed, the whole 9 yards, everything. So at least there was that. And, and I slept very nice. Then I woke up, went to San Antonio, and this is where the big day started. Because the first thing I did was go to the Briscoe Art Museum, Western Art Museum. Now this was the outside of the building. I was like, oh, I'll capture this just as part of this, but obviously it didn't go through. So, the Briscoe Art Museum. By the way, there was a security guard there. Super cool dude. Like he was super friendly to talk to. He pointed you out to the stuff that you would have missed. It's great person to conversate with. If everything, and I actually need to go give the Briscoe Art Museum in San Antonio a 5-star rating because of that one guy, that one security guard. He was super cool. So yeah, in this place they starting with this, they had like this display of spur styles from across the country. And if you're an artist, this is a very good thing to look at because you can see like the difference between the California, Buckaroo, and Texas style spurs. And that's actually the main reason why I took a picture of this. So you can see the Yeah, no, I didn't realize it was a thing either. That's why I took a picture of it. And then they a bunch of different spur styles from across the country as well. And they actually mapped it out for you as well. So, Trevor, I'll be sharing those images with you because I know you would like that. They had this. God, I forgot the nation, and forgot to take a picture of that. But had this regalia dress. And I just kind of took some pictures of some of the artwork there that I found very pretty. I just like the texturing on this piece more than anything. That's why I took a picture of it. This was another one that I thought was a really nice one, especially because like the entire background. Great, great visual. Oh, I love the painting strokes on this one. Great theme as well. This one was. I love the colors on this and the style. I like his pants though. I zoom in. Ah, I can zoom in. I love this type of cowboy pants. Or it's just the really hairy one, yeah. And then they had a little room about uh the Alamo as well. And these were Mexican soldier uniforms that they had. Like, I'm pretty sure these are like original ones as well. I did take a lot of pictures of like uniforms, arms, and outfits and stuff because I want more stuff to draw. So, like war drum, armor stuff. Took a better picture of the helmet. And then they had this diorama of the Battle of the Alamo, which was insanely detailed. Like, this is really cool. Like you can, and then you can kind of see it right there, and here. They had special figurines of the uh main people of the battle. All trying to see if I can find I know like Santa Ana is like right there, and they gave like little descriptions about them as well. So that was cool. That's John Tyler, I believe. Mexico flag. Come and take it. Gonna be talking more about this flag more close to the end of the stream because as I have a little bit of a story about that flag egg when I was there. And I think this one was like the couriers, but on another one with a really cool art style to it. I just didn't get a very nice picture. Keep in mind, I am taking pictures on these on a Galaxy A11. Where did I put it? So it's not going to be the best. It's like the quality of these pictures of from a Galaxy phone is either the best in the world or absolute dog water. Some guns from the it. I thought these were cool. These were like these were modified flintlock pistols that someone like that a soldier like welded like an arm brace to. You got like everything that they used. Another cool painting that's like supposed to be depicting a desert night scene. I took a picture of this one because I wanted to save the color palette for possibly a future project. They had a stuffed armadillo. They just while driving, I did see one road-killed armadillo, so I feel like that's like a thing you need to see in Texas. Bronze statue. That was neat. I like the texture on that. This is what was this called? Some type of desert pig. Because I've never seen this animal before, and was like, what the hell is this thing? Like a javelina. That's what they're called. So this was the lobby to the museum. This was a cool piece because there's a coin with a buffalo on it and a nickel with a buffalo on it, and someone decided to like model that out. Another one I really liked the composition, theme, and everything for. I just those colors are awesome. Another a very impressive landscape painting. Yeah, it's just a it's just a quick sketch. Etch, I might finish this later. Type people. Just a doodle. This was the biggest painting they actually had in the museum. I think it was taller than me, actually. Girl Who Walks in the Sun. Cool statue. Um, Colorado albaster is what it's made out of, apparently. But I just like the dress, and I might steal it for an OC making thing. Another great one. Very like comic book style, which I thought was cool. Like that is very I think it's very clean looking is what it is. Is what I really like about it. It's just like super clean. It's like those state park posters. Yeah, it has like a that type of theme to it. That's what it reminds me of. And etching is for more visual stuff. Um, okay, so this was the desk of the governor who made the museum. I think I forgot his name, but the only reason why I had this because I wanted to be like, this is the ultimate gaming setup. Like, I would unironically love to have this as a desk gaming setup. It is such my style. It is such like my I love the cozy feel of this. Like, fuck your gamer chair. I want that chair right there. This was a Wells Fargo US mail carriage that they had. Like, I think that's an original one as well. And I never realized how big carriages were until you're standing next to one. They're bigger than car. Well, they're taller than cars. They're about the same length as a car. Goof. Oh yeah. Oh no, it was a replica. I thought it was a original. Oh yeah, I would take a picture of this. Mules pulled the coaches across from some stretches, earning the line the nickname of the Jackass Mail, which is the best name ever. The Jackass Mail. Another good piece. I'm just another one I'm taking for or more drawing practice later. I love yeah no I think it's the pants. The pants and the vest. The pants, the vest, the scarf, and the hat are perfect. Just some stuff up they had in a special display. I saved this for later because I want to actually find this and listen to it. The first, so in San Antonio, they had this thing called the River Walk. So this canal makes its way through the entire city. Yeah, and you can walk along it, and there's like restaurants and stuff along it. This is the first image I took because there was ducks. There was no other reason other than there was these ducks. And outside the Briscoe Art Museum, they had this sculpture garden. Some of these sculptures were cool. I like this one. This one was just impressive. Like, I do not know how they got this thing to balance. This one was... Hoot! Hoot, 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 hoot! Hoot, 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 hoot! Got that guy. Alright, so I'll go back for that in a sec. So, this one, and this one, and I want to take and I want to draw my little bird mascot, like right there, right in there, and in his hand. I want to take Shamal, my little yellow rumped warbler with the top hat, and just draw them in those locations. If I didn't take so many pictures, I would have done it right now, but I have a lot of pictures and I have a lot I want to talk about. And it's probably we're gonna be here for a while. I'm gonna be real with you right now. We're gonna be here for a bit. Take a picture of this because I wanted to see if I can find this beer at a liquor store around. I couldn't find any, but this was a really good tasting beer. A Vienna-style lager with notes of caramel and a little something extra. What that something extra is a mystery to me, but this tasted really good. This was at the Casa Rio, the restaurant I ate at, and I'll talk more about that restaurant at the end of this, because I didn't take a picture of the restaurant. Took a picture of this, didn't go inside, but I thought that was cool that this was here. And now we get to the Alamo. Oh, it was about 1 p.m. in the afternoon when I got to the Alamo. But this is the first picture I took of my main man, Davey Crockett. And for those who know my channel, my YouTube channel very well, oh, there was a Far Cry 3 Let's Play video where Davey Crockett was like the main point of the entire video. So Davey Crockett and the Alamo are like 2 points of history that I am absolutely fascinated with. So that's actually the big reason why I went to the Alamo, is because I am absolutely fascinated with the history of it, and Davey Crockett being an absolute Giga Chad. I'm gonna say it right now, he was just an absolute Giga Chad. So, this was the first image. This was the, outside the main church itself. And they say that you can actually see some bullet holes in there still from when the Alamo battle happened. So this is a well in the courtyard. So then I took a picture of inside the well because people were throwing money at the bottom of the well. I still think my dad told me that they can do that. I don't think this was a thing that you could really do because of the grate that was there. And there's like a good solid, probably like $30 down there. There's no water down there, by the way. That's not water. That's just like a black slate of stone. The well is dry. This was cool. Oh, because they showed you this is like 10 feet deep, by the way. So here's like the original surface, or the surface in 1724, and right up here is where the current floor is. So like throughout the years, so much stuff has accumulated on the floor, or they built so much on it that literally it's just in this these preserved layers that they are like that the history team there is continuously excavating. A mural that was painted inside there. There was like, so, oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, told you not to touch the walls because obviously the human skin has like a bunch of oils and whatnot that would corrode the walls. But the Alamo's Long Barrack is the oldest building in Texas. Don't touch the wall stripper, I swear to God, don't. Okay, so that's a statue of David Bowie. And if you don't know, the word Bowie knife comes from this guy because he would always carry around his giant ass knife everywhere. So, and the history for David Bowie was that he was going to help defend the Alamo, but then he got bedridden, and he was and then he was killed in his sick bed, but not before shooting down at least one guy while still in his sick bed. Oh, fuck, who was this? She was somebody who just generally helped in the revolution, not the revolution, God, the Alamo siege, supplying stuff. This was a courier. The statue was really cool. This was just in the gift shop. These were some books that I wanted to save for later, or for my own thing. But in that gift shop, like I said, I did buy this shirt, and I bought this pin. Hold on. Focus. It's gonna do alright. Oh, yeah, no. I almost forgot to show you. Come on. Up. Get off. At the Briscoe Art Museum, I also bought this pin. Because I don't have a lot of room for, like, big or bigger collectible type stuff from places. However, I do have room for pins and patches. Oh, where's that patch? I did buy a patch as well. So yeah, I buy pins and patches because as they're cheaper and I can actually place them in places and they just add a cool aesthetic. So here's my patch that I got. And it will go on my patch jacket, which I will eventually show off one day. But yeah, those were some things I bought there. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. So this is my patch jacket. Oh, yeah, so this is the back of it. This is like one arm sleeve. Oh. The front of it. Yeah. The reason why it has a gigantic Irish flag on the back of it is because the jacket itself came with it. So, yep, that is my patch jacket. It has a lot of Boy Scout patches because, well, I'm an Eagle Scout, so that's why I have a patch jacket, because I have a lot from scouting. But I took a picture of this cactuses because this was my first time seeing cactuses, like these ones. Like I've obviously seen the little cactuses like that are that big, but I've never seen these before. Because you have to understand, I'm from the Midwest, as I don't see desert stuff at all. So these were like, whoa, these plants! Had a nice little in the courtyard itself. They had like a display of like what people would have been doing. Like here's a campfire, tent, munitions table, etc., etc. And there was actually, speaking of Boy Scouts, there was actually a Boy Scout troop there getting a tour. So that was cool. There was a drum, yeah, and they were getting a tour, and there was this guy with a drum who eventually came out and just started doing, like, dressed up in period time clothing and just started rattling off on his drum, which was really cool. This is very powerful whiskey, by the way. Like, I drank, like, that much, and I'm already really feeling it. What is the proof on this thing? 82. It's not. That is quite a bit. Shot of the courtyard. Quite a bit of people there. But it wasn't terrible. I just realized this kid is wearing the Chris Chan sweatshirt. Like, that is straight up the Chris Chan shirt. He is running. He knows his crimes. Right, it was a very cool looking courtyard. And it's so bizarre because this is like extremely historic monument is just in the middle of a city. So here's inside the church itself. And yeah. It was actually really like cold in there. Like the bricks did a very good job insulating. But they were if you see this pole right here, they were doing a moisture capturing or moisture readings because they were trying to make sure like the building doesn't dissolve from moisture. Like there's an ongoing process of making sure this like the Alamo doesn't disintegrate. Flags of the Texas Revolution, come and take it. The New Orleans Grays and the yep. Yeah, and they had a little river going through it as well, and they just had a little koi pond in there. Fishies. And then in the back of the place, they had a special building that they built, and it's housing a gigantic collection of weapons and other Alamo related things. Like in this room, there was a ton of documents from this time. So, and there was also this flag, which was believed to be one of the generals under Santa Anna personal flag, and like as in this flag more is practically 200 years old. Oh, that's really cool. And they said the guy at the museum said they were continually doing research on this flag. So this was like this was a very new item they had at the museum as well. Some cannonballs. It was this one up here. Yeah, this row up here that was of great interest to me because these ones were made out of stone. And it never really occurred to me that cannonballs could be made out of stone because it makes perfect sense, but it's just never something I crossed my mind because I always thought that cannonballs like were made out of metal and lead. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why these ones have holes in them. Maybe it was to fill them up with something. Yeah, I don't know what they would have filled in them. if they filled them up with gunpowder, how would the gunpowder explode unless they lit the cannonball, quickly stuffed it, and shot it off before it went off? So, you know what? We can research this right now. Okay, interesting. So, what they would do is these cannonballs would be shot into a wall, and then sometimes they would stick into the wall, into said wall. Oh, just like kind of being embedded in there. Then what they would do is they would fill that hole with gunpowder and light it off. That's why there's holes in the cannonball. I never knew that, and that is insanely cool. So basically, they put the bomb in the wall, then they lit off the bomb. Oop. Okay. Well, moving on from the cannonballs, here's just like here's a wall full of like axes and lances, powder horns. I mostly saved it for this weapon right here, which I might probably am gonna give as a weapon to a character of mine. Just a short pike, like a short-handed spear. Now, here is one of Davey Crockett's Kentucky long rifles. And, yeah, Crockett's Kentucky rifle. And, we'll actually go to the, yeah. So, this rifle is said to belong to Davey Crockett, who traded it to Andy Thomas on his trip to Texas. Chambered in a .50 caliber, the rifle was originally a flintlock, but at some point it was converted to a fire using percussion caps. The style of rifle saw use in many American conflicts, including the American Revolution, War of 1812, and the American Civil War. So they believe this was actually one of Crockett's actual rifles, which is hella cool. So going back. And on the wall, they had pictures of famous people at the taking pictures at the Alamo. So here's one of Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash. As you may know, I'm a huge fan of those two. Well, at least him. And there was one of Reagan and giving a speech at one. The Pope. George Bush. Yeah. And okay, I took a picture of this because I'm going to do this right now. I wanted to see how much I can buy these for. So, all right. So, this is how much they're being sold for. Yeah, this is one pistol that, like, I would actually like to own. Like, if I can actually get my hand on just one of these, I'd be like, yeah, this is my go-to. Saber Axe, I thought that was cool. John Wayne Screen Directors Guild Award. Because he made a movie called The Alamo. And like, did I take a picture of the mural? Oh no, I didn't. Yeah, no, at the museum they had a giant, someone repainted like a big mural. I didn't take a picture of it for some reason, of this right here, of that image right there. They had a giant mural, recreation mural of that. Which, you know, this alone is a very, like, someone painted that. Someone painted that to begin with for that movie, which is like actually very impressive. This is why old movies are based, because all their promotional images were painted like this. Here's a Spanish mortar cannon. And once again, the cannonball with the hole in it, and now we know what that's for. I don't. There's this guy's foot in the picture. I don't. I didn't notice that before. Some Grenadier insignias that were used for the Mexican army. Very cool design on them. These are called Spanish navajas, folding knives that have existed nearly 1,000 years. These navaja represent the style imported to New Spain and traded and sold on the frontier. They are gigantic folding knives, is what these are. Just saying, that's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this part. So in this part of the collection, they had another diorama of the Alamo. Oh, and there was this light source above that shone the light on a certain spot of the Alamo and talked about like what happened during that battle. Oh, and it talked about like the different people from that battle, etc., etc. And it was a very cool like 10-minute presentation thing. What I found really cool was this thing right here, which showed where all these people were the ones who were the people who defended the Alamo. This is where they all came from, and there were people from Ireland, Scotland, and the UK and Germany that were fighting in the Alamo. Obviously, these people came over as immigrants to the Americas, like seeking out a new life type thing. But I find it really cool that people in Europe were also fighting in the Alamo, along with tons of people from across the U.S. as well. Then, and so that was the last thing I saw at the Alamo. Oh, I'm glad that I did that. The Alamo was so worth it to go to. However, right across the street was this, with a gigantic Lego version of Davey Crockett. And I thought that was completely made out of Lego as well. And then inside that building, they had a Lego recreation of the Alamo battle. And right there, they have Crockett fighting a bear. But yeah, no, like, look at this. There's the north wall. Awesome. Then they had, and across the street as well, they also had this giant cannon that was used in the battle. Or I think a replication of the cannon used in the battle. This was some construction they were doing, because they were planning on rebuilding parts of the Alamo and building out new tourist things there as well. But this was all under construction, and I obviously it's too early to go see it. So here's another picture of the Riverwalk at San Antonio. I actually went along most of the Riverwalk itself. I have to say it is absolutely gorgeous. Like San Antonio is a very beautiful city. I know, like tourists, like obviously this is like the more tourist part, the main center of the city, where they put like all their funds into, etc., etc. Uh, but this is a gorgeous view. There was also, like you can actually see right here, there was riverboat boat tours as well. I didn't go on any because as I didn't feel like I needed to. And I didn't want to spend any more money than I had to. But yeah, I went from I spent all day at the Alamo. I probably I got there around like, well, in San Antonio mostly. I got there at like 10 o'clock, and I probably left San Antonio like around 4:30. So I was there for a good chunk of the day. And then traveled up north a bit and ate dinner someplace. Hold up. And went to sleep. And this time I went to a Motel 6. Because, like, oh, it was a $60 stay for the night. And it was fine, and etc. etc. However, I now understand the whole media thing of the crummy motel media thing, because I got there. Yeah, I got there, and the room itself was fine, whatever. But first off, actually no, the room was not fun. Fine, because first off, when I got in there, the entire room smelt of cigarette smoke. Then I went into the bathroom, and in the bathroom, the tub faucet was leaking. It had a bathtub in there with a shower, whatnot, and the the bathtub faucet was leaking, and there were cigarette burns in the plastic part of the tub. Like someone put out their cigarette on the tub, and it burnt holes into it. And I was like, fine, whatever. Or I started to go to bed, and I think this was like around 10:30 when I started to fall asleep. Then some guy, I probably from my next room over, went outside. I sat down and started playing his music. Like, I think he was playing on a speaker as well. He started playing his music just really loud, sitting on a sidewalk doing whatever at 10:30 at night. And he was just blasting his music like for like a solid half hour straight before he stopped. I'm like, fucking hell. So, then I thought that was going to be the end of it. Then 2 hours later, I'm awoken from the people above me, like having an argument and yelling at each other, or at like 12:30 at night. I'm like, holy shit. and they argued for at least an hour and a half straight. And the worst part is, I woke up and I continued hearing them yell at like 7 o'clock in the morning. However, it was $75 for the night compared to the $85 I spent at the hotel. So I sacrificed sanity for some few dollars saved. So it's either you can spend less money and risk all that stuff I just said, or you could spend the extra money and have like just have a nice quiet night. You get one or the other. There is no in between. You get neither. You can't have cheap and comfort. You only have one or the other. I didn't think it was gonna be that bad. I thought it was I legitimately went there thinking like what they say in the media is so overblown about motels. I bet it's not that bad. It's that bad. It's legitimately that bad. Anyways, I woke up. I drove to Austin, going to Dallas. Yeah, actually, make me blow my nose. And there, I first saw the sign for the LBJ Library Museum when I was going to San Antonio. I'm like, I should stop there. So when I was heading back north, I decided, hey, I should stop there. So I did. So here's the picture of the building. Now it doesn't look that impressive, but you can see these guys right here. Here. So that means the rest of the building is that tall. Oh, and actually, no, the building itself is about 10 stories tall. That's how big this thing is. Plus how long it is. Once again, I had to go and give a review of this place because the guy who, first off, the museum itself is absolutely gorgeous. It's on the inside. Second off, the guy who greeted me and gave me an explanation of everything there was super nice. So that's another 5-star review I need to give this place. But here's all the pens that Lyndon B. Johnson used. For those who don't know, Lyndon B. Johnson was the president after, was Kennedy's vice president and succeeded him well after you know what. I don't know why that. Oh yeah, so in the museum itself, the first thing you do is you watch a 10-minute documentary explaining the life about LBJ. It's a very good documentary, very moving. And then you get to go see the museums. And the first thing they have is an exhibit about his wife, Lady Bird Johnson. That was her. I don't actually. Well, her actual name is Claudia, but the name that everybody knows her for was Lady Bird Johnson. So, and she is absolutely based. I thought this was cute. And I did take a lot of pictures of like I think I took a picture of like all of her outfits because I thought they were really good. But yeah, Lady Bird Johnson was like one of the first ladies to actually like do something with their time in the as a first lady because she was a major proponent of environmental protection and did so much environmentalism work. Like it's insane. And she actually was the mind behind the Monarch Highway in the US, which spreads from Canada all the way to Mexico of just what of a path of wildflowers for monarch butterflies. She was the mind behind that. So that's what she did. And I think that's absolutely awesome. Now here's her. Oh yeah. Um she wore this nurse outfit because she and a whole bunch of other women would sew socks and other materials for the veterans of the Vietnam War. I think that's what it was. So she would have a sewing circle with all of her friends to make socks and clothing for people. Oh yeah, no. Here it is. The most fun of all was the Santa Ladies Club, which met every Tuesday. The wife of the vice president was our presiding officer. We all wore Red Cross uniforms. A whole lot of us met and made badges. If we knew how to sew, we could make lanettes for the infants of servicemen who were in need. That's what it was. If we knew how to crochet, we could crochet Afghan shawls. If we needed, we knew how to make socks for veterans, particularly in hospitals. I am ignoramus in most of these fields, so I just made the badges and listened. Listen, because it was a great way to learn about the wives of your husband's colleagues, and therefore about the states they represented and the men themselves. So I think it was like all the congressmen's wives that were making this stuff for everyone who I just talked about. So, once again, incredibly based. Some cartoons about her. During her time in the White House, Lady Bird and her environmental initiatives were popular subjects for political cartoons. Apparently, she was highly against billboards, which once again, absolutely based. Another one of her clothing. And like I said, I did save a lot of these clothing because I wanted to use these for drawing practices. Like, draw characters in these. Because I love old clothing. All of her uniforms she wore to help support her husband's campaign. And, oh yeah, on October 6, 1964, Lady Bird Johnson made history by becoming the first president's wife to campaign without her husband. Cool. Another dress. Her Presidential Medal of Freedom. Her hard hat for... I don't know, I forgot what this were. So now we get to Johnson himself, which this first image is cool because I did not know he was a teacher before he started running for public office. And the thing about his teaching career is that he taught poor farmer students and like lots of Mexican American kids in Texas as his first job. And I thought this was cool because I myself, if you did not know this, is studying to become a teacher right now. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I can kind of relate. So I took a picture of a bunch of things, a bunch of political ads and posters because I find those really cool. In the wake of the attack of Pearl Harbor, he was the first member of Congress to volunteer for active duty in the U.S. Navy. Which you will probably never hear about again from any anybody in Congress these days. So, yeah. Listen, these Cold War era presidents were actually just built different. Because a lot of them actually did serve in World War II. Yeah. More political stuff. Kennedy for president, Johnson for vice president. More campaign stuff. Lyndon Johnson loved a good story. He was a earthy, rough and tumble sense of humor, and in a slow Texas drawl, he could tell a captivating tale. Some of his stories he poked fun at himself. Others carried shrewd political lessons. Although cartoonists satirized him almost daily as president, he admired and collected their work and called political cartoons the most influential journalists in America. And here is a bunch of the cartoons that were made during his time as president. And this was an animatronic version of him that if you press this button right here, would tell some of the jokes that he told during as a president. Because, once again, Cold War era presidents being built different, they also were very good joke tellers. Now, this is a really cool picture. And this is 4 stories. And all of these, you see, every single one of these is a document box filled with documents and other stuff from LBJ's time in office. All of these boxes. Yeah. So, like, this is all visible from a big box room in the middle of the museum. Because on the other side of the wall is a gigantic version of the U.S. presidential seal. He has some stuff about space because he was one of the first presidents to really get started with space programs. So here's like a bunch of that. Model of Tesla R1 communication satellite, and I thought this was cool because I'm gonna leave this to all of you right now. What does that look like? What does that little satellite look like? Yep, it looks like the Death Star, and I would guarantee you that's where the inspiration of the Death Star came from. Um, President Darth Vader. No, don't call him Darth Vader. I forgot what those are for. The more political campaign stuff with him and Kennedy. And then we get to this part where these were all original newspapers from that day. And this area of the museum was like this part of the museum was like a very heart-wrenching part. Like I know on the internet, and this applies to a lot of like other stuff as well. On the internet, it's like, okay, haha, it's we make memes and whatnot. But when you're in a area like this and you're reflecting on it, it's like very um it's very different. It's very chilling, it's very heart-wrenching, and you're just like you're actually filled with like a lot of grief. Like it's a very solemn place. It suddenly doesn't become a joke anymore, and it becomes like this happened, and like this affected a lot of people. Because this area was not made easier because they also had the radio and television reports of this playing as well for you to listen to. I'm actually getting teared up talking about it right now. But here they also had the suit that Lady Bird and Johnson and Lyndon B. Johnson wore when they were sworn in one of the fastest ever, most not ceremoniously presidential inaugurations in U.S. history. The picture itself is kind of bad because of the lighting and whatnot, but that's what they were wearing. Right here is the Warren report about the whole assassination. That's the actual Warren report right there. Wore these clothes during the trip to Dallas. President Mr. Kennedy. The photo on the right, they converted Jacqueline Kennedy. Show the Air Force One above. Here's the Bible they were sworn in on. In that photo. Bunch more images about the whole thing. Alright. So, the day after the assassination, President Johnson met with former President Harry Truman at the White House. And they talked about, like, Johnson was like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I wasn't, like, I was not ready, bro. Yeah. So, before the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, only a small fraction of African Americans were registered to vote in the South. but after the bill was passed, African Americans began to register by the thousands. In Macon County, Alabama, black voters were the majority, and by May 1966, in November of that year, a 32-year-old veteran of the Korean War, Lewis Emerson, ran for county sheriff and won. He became the first black sheriff in the South since Reconstruction. So, Johnson signed in a bunch of reform acts like that, like this one, and during his time. And in the museum itself, they have these phones, these old phones that you can listen into, and you can listen to the conversations that Johnson had with senators, congressmen, and other people, and even Martin Luther King, because Johnson actually kept tabs with MLK with quite a bit. So, that was a very cool part of that museum. Johnson also had signed in the Medicare law. So that's what this little thing was about, and other stuff, such as there's a whole bunch of God, what is that called again? I was about to say propaganda, but it's not propaganda. That's it's like what Smokey the Bear is. It's God, I can't think of the word. Informational, like an informational campaign. I'm not sure. Yep, more stuff about the Medicare thing. His reforms in education, because once again, Johnson was a teacher himself, so obviously he would care a lot about education. If, as a former school junior, Lyndon Johnson was profound faith in the power of education. He believed that without a chance for a good education, the gains of other social programs would be wasted. He steered two landmark education bills for Congress, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act and Higher Education Act. They remain the basis of many federal education programs that have been enacted since, and as well as the Head Start program. Arts and environment. Lyndon Johnson believed that great society encouraged the growth of the human spirit. He saw natural beauty as fertile ground for this growth and proposed many programs to protect the environment. He also thought the federal government could foster the creative spirit of American people and established the National Endowment of the Arts, the National Endowment of the Humanities, and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and created the Public Broadcasting Service and National Public Radio. Lyndon Johnson created PBS and NPR. So without these acts, there would have been no Sesame Street, there would be no Mr. Rogers, there would be no Zaboomafoo, there would be none of those shows without this act. So, yeah, think about that for a second. And I think under Johnson that the Redwood National Forest was created. And another one. Yeah. Here's all the fine arts and humanities stuff. The PBS. Asian immigrants. After 1924, the nation's law limited immigration based on national origin and discriminated against immigrants from Africa and Asia. By the early 1960s, roughly 85% of all visas were given to people of Northern and Western Europe. President's new bill admitted immigrants from anywhere in the world based on their skills and family ties in the United States. So, major immigration reform under Johnson. Absolutely based. So, this is your every single legislation he enacted. Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Acts, Fair Housing, Immigration Law, War on Poverty, Department of Housing and urban development, aid to Appalachia, Indian vocalization training, aid to education, higher education, teacher corps, guaranteed student loans, clean air, wilderness areas, clean water, Redwoods Park, scenic rivers, scenic trails, Medicare and Medicaid, heart cancer and stroke program, child health, narcotics rehabilitation, criminal justice, drug controls, juvenile detention control, truth in packaging, child safety, traffic safety, highway safety, mine safety, production safety commission, Kennedy Cultural Center, Arts and Humanities Foundation, public broadcasting, tax reduction, farmer program, aid to small businesses, Inter-American Development Bank, arms control, food for India, outer space treaty, the Department of Transportation Cold War GI Bill, Urban Mass Transit Federal Highway Aid, Freedom of Information Act, and the Vietnam Veterans benefits. That is a fuck ton of very good legislation. and I completely forgot about like the whole outer space treaty, which were U.S. and Russia agreed. It's like, hey, what if we just like don't fight in space? Could we just not do that? And they're like, yeah, sure. I horribly butchered what that actually meant, but that's more or less the idea of it. So here were some. They also had some like displays of stuff from the 50s and 60s as well. Also like a whole bunch of stuff. They even had some original Playboys. Ooh, but they had Julie, the Master of French Cooking by Julie Child. Wild Things Are Go Doctor. Oh, original Operation and all of that. Here's some more stuff like the Beatles, Frank Sinatra, the Byrds, Sonny and Cher. They also had some stuff from Buddy Holly albums as well. Malcolm X book. I actually did not notice that one at first. Another one. Chuck Berry's CD. Oh, here's the whole astronaut and moon thing. And here is a moon rock. This is an actual rock from the moon. This obviously wasn't during his time because he was out of office by the time the moon mission started. Well, by the time they got to the moon. When he like the whole moon going to the moon thing started under him, but it was finished under Nixon. But they have the space rock there. Some more space treaty stuff, patches, etc. Now we get to the Cold War and the Vietnam War. So this was the hotline between Russia and the US. The like to make sure it's like, hey, how you doing? Good. You gonna send any nukes at us today? No? Cool. Us either. Thanks, man, and have a good day. You too. that was this thing. And yeah, this was the map of Vietnam they had in the White House Situation Room. Soviet capabilities. They had they had a whole bunch of stuff on duck and cover as well. More political pins. The president proposes draft by lottery. Yeah, so the Vietnam War was definitely Johnson's downfall. All from grace. Because as my dad probably said it perfectly. Yeah, for the Vietnam War, Johnson was too much of a micromanager for it, and he had to control every single part of it. So, that's part of the reason why. When he became president, Lyndon Johnson inherited a war already badly and in a tiny nation with a fragile government. The President of South Vietnam. Okay, so no. Yeah, no. A state section. New governments were unstable and corrupt amid conflicting advice. President Johnson tried to find a middle way. Win the war without drawing in communist China or the Soviet Union, or avoid a defeat long enough to negotiate peace with North Vietnam. So they had the model of the USS Maddox. They attacked the Maddox by North Vietnamese torpedo boats on August 2nd, 1964, at global repercussions. 5 days later, near unanimous Congress passed the Gulf War of Tonkin Resolution, which opened the way for President Johnson to expand the conflict of Vietnam. The Viet Cong helmet. Some guns used. Some more pins. For support of the war, not support of the war. And now we get to the 70s with a whole bunch of hippie stuff that they had. More Beatles and hippie clothing. Draw your OC in hippie clothing. Actually, that's actually a good ass prompt. Totally. Listen, Trevor, if you draw phobia and hippie clothing, let's do. I'm actually gonna draw my, yeah, make her look like Janis Joplin. Let's see here. The infamous Battleship ad, where they have the son and father playing Battleship while the daughter and mother are washing dishes in the background. Like, this is a very infamous ad because of this. Czechoslovakia invaded by Russians and 4 other Warsaw Pact forces. They opened fire on crowds in Prague. Wow, that sounds very familiar, doesn't it? It's like shit never changes at all. Alright. Now we're getting to the near end. So these are all stuff that Johnson received from other countries as congratulations on being president. Here's this gift from us. So this was a sword from Saudi Arabia, and this was a sword from Morocco. Yeah. So just like very fancy swords. I forgot where these statues came from. Some President cowboy boots from Tony Lama. Sealed in it and on the front, and LBJ stenciled on the outside straps. Yeehaw. And then the Colt Patent Firearms Manufacturing Company presented the single-action Army revolver to President Johnson in 1966. This is Johnson's revolver. And it's so cool looking. I'm sorry, I'm an absolute sucker for revolvers. No, you can't have Johnson's revolver. The museum needs this. And then these were silver spurs, given from the Prime Minister of Singapore. Those are some wicked-looking spurs. Gavel was made by... That was made inside Thomas Jefferson's Monticello estate. So, Dr. Seuss met Lady Bird Johnson, press secretary, and showed her... Okay. So, Dr. Seuss was showing Lady Bird Johnson's press secretary the initial drawing pages for the Lorax. And they were gifted. I think this was gifted to the Johnson family. So this is like the original artwork by Dr. Seuss for the Lorax, basically. Like for all those looking to draw and be an artist, etc., etc. Look how messy the preview for this is before the final product came out from Dr. Seuss. It was like it's not perfect, but what he did was he got his idea across, and he got what he wanted made across. Here's LBJ's ranch home. Pretty cool looking house. I don't know what this was a staff given to him. I can't read what the text says, so it's just a cool looking staff. Some a more political artwork. German Chancellor Ernhard. Wait. So was the German Chancellor like awoken at the LBJ Ranch by some by some like Texas cowboy band? This cartoon cowboy In this cartoon, cowboy serenaded German Chancellor Ludwig Erhard at the LBJ range during his visit in December 1963. I didn't actually read that part while I was there. That's actually really fucking funny. Why don't more presidents do this? Okay? Well, come to my place and I will have a cowboy band serenade you outside my window. Come on, Biden. Get on that. Like, the opportunity is there. Alright. Here was his Oval Office recreation that they had. Like, everything. A little bit more. Once again, ultimate gamer desk. Fuck your Razer Corsair looking in black RGB looking desk. This is where the real shit is at. You know he's a pro at Minecraft gaming. Absolutely. You know those memes where they're taking like Obama, Trump's, and Biden's voices and turning them into like Minecraft Let's Plays? I want to see one with like Kennedy, Johnson, and like and maybe like Reagan like playing Minecraft. If they have a picture frame like this, they mean business. This place was kind of gated off, so I couldn't see what was behind the desk. So I don't know if there's actually anything in that picture frame. I feel very bad because I was supposed to I want to get a picture of the little library he had right here of everything. But like, okay, so this book right here is the Constitution. This book is Ulysses S. Grant's memoirs. I think all of these books right here are George Washington's documents as president. I think that's what those were. Now we get to the Johnson treatment. Oh yeah, here was the phone thing I was talking about earlier. Or where you could listen to the phone calls that he had with people. Oh, by just listening into that phone. And then on the bottom floor, there was a booth that you could go into and listen to all 700 hours of phone recordings that he had. It's because Johnson recorded it, because Johnson, like Nixon, recorded every single phone call that he had with people. So yeah. So oh yeah, it's a lot of talking. So the Johnson treatment. One by one, Lyndon Johnson had an unmatched ability to persuade people to his point of view. He used a mixture of charm, intimidation, logic, kindness, cajolery, and horse trading to get the deals he wanted, and he very often moved in close to make his point, thrusting his face directly into his listeners, leaning over a shorter man, touching and prodding. The countless examples of his almost irresistible power persuaded most known as the Johnson treatment. Literally, he would do this. Like, he was kind of a jerk or doing this because LBJ, I think, is the tallest president and to ever serve the office. Like, even like he was like 6'5" or 6'7", somewhere in that range. And for comparison, Abraham Lincoln was 6'3". So that's the type of power. That's the type of like absolute raw power that he had over everyone. So, okay, another blurry ass photo, but what this photo is of Obama right here listening to this right here when he came to visit the LBJ Museum in 2014. So, what I'm saying is, I'm standing in the place that President Obama was standing in. I'm just saying that. More collection stuff. Some more Ladybird. Suits. Clothing. And here is Lady Bird Johnson's office. Because, like I said, she was one of the first ladies to actually like do stuff in office. So, she had her own little office space where her and a bunch of other women that she know got stuff done. And here is Lyndon B. Johnson's car. Notice the addition of a roof for maybe some reasons. See, like I said, we make jokes about it, but at the end of the day, it's like when you're there, it's a very personal thing. And finally, here is a photo. They had a statue of LBJ outside the museum to height and accuracy. And so I took a selfie with him. I wish I took a selfie with the Davey Crockett statue. That's the only thing I wish I did while I was in Texas. So now these are pictures I did not take. I took them off the internet because I didn't have a picture of the place. But when I was in San Antonio, this was the Mexican restaurant I ate at, Casa Rio, and what's cool about this place is it was the first restaurant to be on the Riverwalk. This was the first restaurant on the Riverwalk, and it was made in 1949. That was a cool little thing, and that's where I also got the Alamo beer. Very good food there. This place had really good food. Food worth it. Okay, now the come and take it flag. At the Alamo gift shop, they had one of these. Is a 3-foot by 5-foot flag of this. And I like this because there's a lot of history behind this flag about like how the whole Battle of the Alamo started because some place nearby of Texas had a cannon that the Mexico army wanted and we're gonna commandeer, and the people held them the people fighting off the Mexican army held them back, and they had this flag egg with them, of the cannon that the Mexican army was trying to take. So that's where this flag came from. And I wanted to buy the 3 foot by 5 foot flag. However, it was a $66 item, and I was like, no, absolutely not. In-N-Out Burger. While I was in Texas, I ate at an In-N-Out Burger. Actually, no. First off, okay, so when I first got to Texas, I ate at a Whataburger. Whataburger. Trevor, I'm going to be very disappointing to you. The Whataburger I had was trash. It did not taste good. The fries did not taste good. The one redeeming part of the Whataburger I went to, and I think it was in Anna, Texas, was the staff and the customer service. The customer service at the Whataburger I went to was good. I'll give them that. They had very nice customer service, because when you eat in, they bring the food to you like a Culver's. If you've been to a Culver's, they bring your food to you. However, they will also bring ketchup packets and ask what type of sauces do you want, and they have a tray of sauces. I thought that was very good. The food, however, was very meh. Now, going to In-N-Out Burger, I also had this while I was in Texas. I think I had this, I forgot when I ate there, but the best way I can describe In-N-Out Burger is like the less successful brother of Five Guys. That's how I would describe In-N-Out Burger, is the less successful brother of Five Guys, because In-N-Out Burger, fries and burger, they tasted great. Their pink lemonade was good. But however, it tasted better than Whataburger. And compared to Five Guys, it had the whole appeal and idea of Five Guys, except it was cheaper, and you definitely tasted the cheaperness of the food. However, for being an $8.50 and single patty burger meal, it was good. And hell, I think Whataburger was the same price as In-N-Out. So that's why I kind of ranked Whataburger kind of lower. And when I was driving, the Texas roadways, I don't know, okay, they are very well maintained. They look very nice. However, I don't know what the fuck is going on. No, well, the one near, okay, so, driving through the city is trash, always. Dallas was awful. Oh, I hated it. Etc., etc. So much traffic and whatnot. Driving through Texas was like Mad Max in real life. The fucking movie franchise in real life, because if you want to turn off to something in Minnesota, what you do is you go off and actually no, not even in Minnesota, literally everywhere fucking else you would drive off a ramp, and then you would go on, okay, so here's the highway, okay, then here is the street where you would have all your businesses on the side. Then you would take an off ramp, and going upwards, mind you, upwards, so you would slow down, come to a stoplight, and then turn off where you need to go. Oh, and then you would drive wherever you needed to go. And it works. It's simple and it works. I didn't go to West Texas because there's literally nothing. No trees, just cows, wind turbines, oil rigs. It's just very boring. Okay, fair. But, that's where it is literally everywhere else for roads. In Texas, what you would do is, if you want to get off the freeway, highway, whatever, or you would go off, and then you would go onto this. You would go off. Not only this is you're going on these freeways like 75 miles an hour, or which is insanely stupid fast. As like I'm used to going like 60, 65 miles per hour, or for freeways and highways. Well, I think it's highways in my area, because it's a nice, reasonable speed where you can make decisions nicely. Texas is like, fuck it, whatever, we're doing whatever we want. So when you drive, so if you want to get off on the road, you have to get off into this weird ass one way street, onto, so you can go to whatever you want to go to. And if you want to go to the other side of the highway, you have to take this weird ass loop around at the next weird at this next weird turnaround thing, rather than just going to where you want to go. Oh, and if you want to get back on the freeway from these one-way streets that go like 45 miles per hour, or mind you, you have to then just drive just straight back on, and you better hope to God that the people who are driving will let you on, because there is like about 100 feet before you go onto the back onto the highway, and you better hope to God that they make room for you. And you are very lucky if they do, because Southern hospitality is a thing, but it does not exist on the fucking roadways at all. Because people in Texas is either either drive 10 miles over the speed limit, or like 15 miles below the speed limit. There is no in between. It does not exist whatsoever. Not only that, nobody uses their fucking turn signals. There was like only 3 times I saw people use their turn signals on the highways in Texas at all. All because I don't understand. And like, how do you just, nobody fucking used their turn signal. They also rarely turn off their faux brights at night, so you get blinded by a car. Fucking hell. Hell. Oh, it's just like, nobody in Texas knows how to drive. I have come to this conclusion, and literally nobody with a Texas license plate 8 knows how to properly drive. The blinding the full brights at night is kind of a commonplace thing. I will say that. People do that everywhere. Okay, I'll give this to the Texas highways though. Oh, they have signs that say trucks are not allowed in left lanes. And that is something that they have. That's a sign that they have. And I think that is the one good thing I can think of about the Texas roadways. I'm just gonna get back to the picture of the Alamo. So, okay, so driving, I didn't actually see much of Missouri and Kansas at night, because, oh, actually, no, I didn't see much of Missouri and Kansas at all because I was either driving at 6 a.m. or at 10 p.m. So it was always dark out when I was driving through. However, when I was actually driving through Oklahoma, both ways, and it was still light out. And I have to say, Oklahoma is both one of the most beautiful states to drive through, and one of the most trashiest place to drive through. And let me explain. A beautiful, trashy first. Trashy because they don't implement an adopt a highway system like most states have implemented, which is basically like, hey, if your company wants to advertise on this road or something, or be a sponsor of this road, you can adopt it, and then by adopting it, you basically need to clean up the trash on it, and basically clean up the trash on it. That's what adopt the highway is. It's basically the states allowing in private businesses and people in private businesses, foundations, charities to hire people to clean up the highways for them, which works really well because highways have stayed super clean. Oklahoma does not implement this. Is so if you're off on certain parts, parts that are not the toll roads, you'll see so much trash on the side of the road, like an ungodly amount of trash. However, however, during these there's toll roads there, and these toll road places is um are absolutely beautiful and pristine, and the landscape around them are so hilly, like very hilly, full of woods or plains. They are absolutely gorgeous is to drive through. Oh, and it's very, very pretty to look at. And so that's why I say it's the most trashiest and most nicest place to drive through at the same time, depending on where you are traveling. So that's why I say that. And because I will say this for Iowa as well. Iowa knows what it is. Iowa understands that it is a drive-through state. It understands that like nobody, you know, is like going to stay in Iowa. So what they did is they make their roads nice and pretty. Yeah, they have a ton of rest stop, and that you can go off onto the side and rest up for a bit and use the bathroom, drink water, whatever. Very nice. They have a bunch of side road attractions. It's like the John Wayne Museum, and they also had like a bunch of other stuff I could have seen in as well. Oh, and they also have a pretty nice looking highways, and it looks super nice. Iowa knows what it is, and they do very well on it. I so after so after meeting up with a friend, and who may or may not be in chat right now, and giving them a bunch of tasty sodas. By the way, hey, have you tried one of those sodas yet? Awesome, you're breaking one out tomorrow. Oh, if you're gonna drink one of the 1919s, let me know because I'll break one open with you. But after stopping there, I started going home. One thing is, once again, with Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri, they don't have rest stops like at all. So I left Texas. I was probably left Texas around. I'm gonna say 5. I'm gonna say 5 o'clock. I was out of Texas, and it wasn't until 2 a.m. in the morning when I finally was able to stop and sleep at a rest stop. In because I slept in my car, the first day of my road trip and the last day of my road trip, and I literally drove until 2 a.m. just in my car. Yeah, sleeping in a car. I okay. I'm a very weird person, and I know it kind of hurts my back, but I sleep very well on hard surfaces. Like as long as there's no lights, I can just sleep on anything. I am very adaptive like that. But uh yeah, because during the last hour, actually no, like I would the last 10 minutes of that drive, I decided to say I cannot stay awake anymore. I need to do something. So what I did was I started playing Sabaton music and just like yelling the lyrics out with the and singing along with the song just to try to stay awake. Just trying to stay awake by any means possible by just literally singing, like screaming, singing along with lyrics of the song. But while driving, the main thing I did listen to was the Distractable podcast, Markiplier's podcast, if you ever heard of that. And during my entire time of that road trip, I've probably listened to uh 21 episodes. Yeah, I listened to probably around 21 episodes of that podcast that entire trip. And I'm still not caught up on it. I'm trying to think of like any last things I want to say about the road trip. Um Oh yeah, things I did not get to do during the road trip. One, I forgot to stop at a Texas barbecue place, or steakhouse. I am still kicking myself elf in the shin about that. However, at the same time, I'm not the most upset about it because of like okay, if I really wanted barbecue, I could go to some place around here and I could get barbecue and it would probably be the same thing. And not to discredit it, Texas barbecue whatsoever. However, at some point in time, barbecue is barbecue. Second thing is, I wanted to take a picture of Big Tex, the giant cowboy statue they have at the Texas State Fair. I did not realize they take it, and what Texas State Fair runs from September to October, and I did not realize they take down the statue every year. So, oh, there was this guy manning the gates at the state fairgrounds because apparently there was like an event or something going on. And I was like, he was like, "Hey, why are you here?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm here to take a picture of the statue, etc." Because I just like whatever. I'm not supposed to tell you why I'm here. It's like, "Oh, they only had that up for the fairgrounds. They take that down every year." I'm like, "No, no, I didn't know that." So I didn't get a picture with him, and which is sad because it's one of the Minecraft videos that person who I was just talking about was in, and uh, was also in that Minecraft video. Oh, and the one of the big themes of that video was Big Tex, so I wanted to get a picture of that. He does live forever in our hearts. We still stand Big Tex. But yeah, I believe that is everything I have. I finally got to see the Alamo, which is a historical site I always wanted to see. Yeah, I got to do a big road trip, which was very new to me. Yeah, all by myself. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be doing a road trip. Uh, but I did learn quite a bit. Would I go back to Texas? Sure. Are there still some things I want to see? There's still stuff in San Antonio I still haven't seen because there was literally so much to do there. I didn't have time for it. This was a lot of fun to share. This was a lot of fun to do. Oh, with that, I want to thank you all for coming by and listen to me talk and ramble. Remember, you are good, so stay good, and you all have a good evening. Thanks for being here. Good night, everybody.